Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School, and I'm here with somebody that I just think is awesome, and I love having conversations with her. She's a smart Black woman, and anybody who's got any sense at all knows the importance of listening to smart Black women. And so, one of the smart Black women I have the honor of dressing and speaking with this week is Miss Danielle Pierce. She's a co-founder of economicelevation.com, and she's a wealth expert, among other things. And before we begin our interesting conversation for today, I'd like to ask my friend Danielle, how are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous today. Thank you for asking, Dr. Boyce. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, really good. I'm happy. You know, I've been doing marathon training, and I ran 13 miles yesterday. So yes, I'm proud as shit. I'm very very proud of myself. I'm kinging right now, but it was terrible. It was so you see me yesterday. I was whining like a little punk. I was so after about mile 9, I was like, I'm so done with this. I do not want to be out here. I was mad, and Alicia was with me, and she's like, "Come on, boys, you can do this. We've got this." And I'm like, do not talk to me right now. I was pretty. I was going in Ike Turner mode at that moment. Like I'm mad. It's hot. You got me out here. You know, it almost like when I guess maybe women feel that way when they give birth and they're like mad at the dude who got them pregnant. Like yeah. But after I was done, I was like, thank you for getting me out of here. So again, listen to smart Black women. That's the key. That's what makes you better. So, but anyway, you know, you brought something to me, and I want everybody, if you're watching online anywhere, please hit the thumbs up button. Also, shout out the city that you're from. Please shout out your city. Jay's World, Sir D, Corey, how you doing? And if you're on, I see Stacy Cook in there. How you doing, Stacy? Good to see you. Everybody else in there, if you're on Facebook, please share it to your Facebook page so we can fight the deboosting algorithm. That really helps us a lot as far as getting the word out. But anyway, you brought something to me that I thought was really interesting, and I'm gonna read some of this story to you. It was in the Chicago Sun-Times, and you were actually telling me, or you shared this with me. I didn't know this, that parents are actually giving up custody of their kids so they can get need-based college financial aid. It says here, first, parents turn over guardianship of their teenagers to a friend or relative. Then the student declares financial independence so they can qualify for tuition and scholarships. So, you know, based on what I've read so far, it almost sounds like this is either an excellent loophole that parents may try out in order to get, you know, the cost down, or it's a reflection of the sheer insanity of what college has gotten to, where you literally have to let go of your children and do all these other things to afford this overpriced commodity. How do you see it?
I see it as a combination of both. And I think that, and it's weird because I had forgotten about my college experience until just recently. But actually, I had to go through kind of a similar process. It was like sophomore year in college. What I had to do was basically declare myself an independent student. And I had to do that because my mother had been filing me on her tax return for year after year after year. And I kept telling like, Mom, stop filing me because you messed up my financial aid. And I was trying to get in-state residency. And, you know, the difference in price is like almost double, if not more. And so I finally was able to become an independent student. And I did that because I worked so much and I had to show that I was able to take care of myself. So when I read, I saw the headline, I was like, oh, that's interesting that, you know, parents have to go through this now in order to be able to qualify for financial aid. So I definitely think it's a testament to just how ludicrous the tuition prices are.
Tell us what you guys think about this. Tell us what you guys think. Do you think it's a nice loophole that people should know about, or do you see it as you know, as a reflection of how bad the system's become, or do you see it just as a flat out scam? Now, let me tell you this. I'm reading this article here, which is in Chicago Sun-Times, and they're describing it almost like it's a scam. Basically, what they're saying is that wealthy families are the ones that are using this. That you know, and I guess this conversation began after that whole other scandal where you had parents that were paying ridiculous amounts of money to get their kids into schools they didn't deserve to get accepted to, and they're basically saying that rich people who can't qualify for financial aid are using this as a process to get their kids invited to, you know, low income programs. Like, and so I think that what they're saying in the Sun Times is that one of the counselors became hip to the game because there was a counselor from an affluent school who was calling and asking why this rich kid, this kid who had, millionaire parents, was being invited to, one of those programs for like the low income inner city kids. And he was like, this doesn't make any sense. And so when they dug deeper, they found out that a lot of parents were using this in order to get their kids into school. So do you think that this fits into that scam category of what we were talking about before in terms of people manipulating the admissions process?
I think so. I think it's a continuation of the same thing. I think that, we always talk about the rich stay richer and the poor get poorer. And we make it seem like, the rich are richer because they're just brilliant, they're excellent, and they have all these, great, skills that the poor people don't have. And poor people are poor because, they're slow, or they're not as smart, or they're not as ambitious. But in reality, especially in America, rich people stay rich and get richer because of, things like this, and because of policies that are in place that allow them to retain their wealth, because of tax loopholes, because of a lot of different things. It doesn't have a whole lot to do with how smart they are. And I think we really have to get away from thinking that, because I think it cripples a lot of us into thinking that we have to stay in the position that we're in.
Well, let me say this. I'm speaking to Danielle Pierce from economicelevation.com, by the way. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. And just a reminder to you guys that if you want to fly to Los Angeles and meet me there next week, I'll be there August 11th, teaching investing all day long. So come and join us in Los Angeles. You're going to love it. Go to drboycelosangeles.com to learn more. That's drboycelosangeles.com. So let me read some of this to you, Danielle. It says, ProPublica Illinois found that more than 40 guardianship cases fitting this profile were filed between January 2018 and January 2019 in Chicago suburbs of Lake County alone. So this was an Illinois thing, an Illinois investigation, but I would assume that's happening all over the country. The parents involved in these cases include lawyers, a doctor, an assistant school superintendent, as well as insurance and real estate agents. A number of children are high-achieving scholars and athletes and musicians who have been accepted to a wide range of universities, blah, blah, blah. They reached the parents or guardians in 15 of these cases, and none agreed to speak on record. Some hung up, others declined to comment, and some demanded anonymity. Boyce, who's one of the people that helped uncover the scandal, apparently, said the university told the 3 students midway through last school year that their university-based financial aid would be reduced. Quote, we didn't hear any complaint, and that is also a big red flag. If they were really needy, they would have come in to talk with us. So it appears that you got this weird thing where people are using a loophole in the system. Now, I'd like to get a yes or no from everybody who's watching. Yes or no. If this was legal, if there's nothing illegal about what they're doing, and maybe you could even argue that it's still illegal because they're misrepresenting themselves, right? So maybe that's illegal in itself. But let's assume that it's just a loophole, and you could just, for whatever reason, decide to declare your child independent. Your child can go, have someone else as a guardian. Do you think it's okay to use that loophole, or do you think it's scandalous? Do you think it's a scam? What do you guys think? I personally think it is on that scandalous side, but I think also it kind of just speaks to the fact that even middle class and upper class people have a hard time paying for college. Like, I don't think if you're middle or upper middle class or whatever, and you send 2 or 3 kids to college and you got to write that big ass check, you won't be middle class after you're done. Like, you're gonna go from middle class to poor. Like, education is almost like medical care. Like nobody can afford to write the size of checks necessary to like get heart surgery and all that stuff. So if you don't have the protection of the insurance policies and all that, you're done. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that I definitely think that, it's an issue for more than just the lower income population. I think U of I was one of the schools, and U of I is actually the school I graduated from. At the time that I graduated, U of I was $32,000 a year, which is ridiculous. And it's a public school. Like, this is not even a private institution. So the cost of tuition, I can't think of any other industry, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I can't think of any other industry where costs go up without fail every single year, right? And nothing else changes, and nobody says anything, and it's perfectly normal. I can't think of another industry where that's allowed. You know what I mean? Like, doctors can't do that. Attorneys can't. You can't just arbitrarily raise your prices every single year. And then a lot of times the schools, the textbooks are the same. The campus looks the same. Like, where is the money going is the question. Where is the money going?
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, if you look at most of I was looking for a chart or a graph to really show this, but if you look at sort of what's been happening with with the cost of college, it's kind of ridiculous. In fact, I'm going to show you something here. Let me show you a chart I just found. If you look at this chart, this shows the lower line line shows how the cost of college would have gone up if it were increasing at the rate of inflation. And you see, actually, it looks like up until 1983, 84, that's what you had. The cost of college was going up with the rate of inflation. And then something happened in the mid 80s where suddenly the average cost of tuition went up at a rate that far exceeded the rate of inflation. And I got to go do some research on that and find out what that is. I wonder if it was maybe more access to grants and loans. I'm wondering if the loans became like this subsidy that artificially inflated the cost of going to college, because you have this commodity called a college degree where everybody feels like they have to have it, right? And so what happens is when somebody feels like they have to have something, it's like drugs or cigarettes, like where it doesn't matter what the cost is, people will pay the cost, especially if they can just go sign a piece of paper and borrow the money. So, it almost seems that college education's gotten insanely expensive to the point where it's gone from being a great investment to being an okay investment. So as a person who thinks about investing and research and all that stuff, what do you think, Danielle, in terms of the cost of college as an investment vehicle? I mean, I don't know if you have kids that are going to go to college one day. How are you approaching, if so, how are you approaching the whole pay for college thing?
So I'm approaching college as optional, and that's not how the way it was presented to me. When I was younger, it was like, oh, you go into college because that's the way out, and this is the only way you're going to succeed in life. My children are pretty young now; they're 8, 7, and 5. But yeah, college. I mean, I'm not opposed to going to college. I'm not here to tell anybody not to go to college because I get some of those angry comments sometimes on my YouTube videos. But I am encouraging people to think more strategically about college. I think college is about networking, and it's about having access to resources to kind of guide you further along in your career as you get older. I don't think you should be going to college and majoring in things like philosophy and sociology and what else, social work, and really any low-paying career. And especially given the onset of technology that's happening right now, that's going to continue. I just don't think that that's a smart plan. I'm actually going to do a quick screen share on my end if I can.
Yeah, please do. Are you able to share a screen? Do you have
I should be able to. Just give me a second. Bam. Can you see my screen, Dr. Boyce?
Yep, I sure can.
All right. So technology is rocking. It's holding up today, right? So this was another article that came out 3 days ago, and it said, my husband and I thought education was a way out of poverty, and now we're at $718,000 in debt. This came out 3 days ago in the Huffington Post, and I won't read the whole article, but basically, they grew up like I did, thinking that college was the golden ticket. They were told to go to school. And what happened is, I think both of them have MBAs. The husband was trying to get into become a dentist, and he couldn't pass the test. So then he stopped doing that, and he went back to school to get a separate degree, which cost another $100,000. And then the wife, she said from the article, and I quote, she said that I went back to get my MBA because I was feeling lost. That's something that we don't talk about enough, Dr. Boyce, because I know a lot of students, even when I was in college, who kept going to school because they didn't know what else to do with their life. Like they couldn't get a job. They couldn't figure out, they didn't want to go back home because of the shame and the embarrassment. And so they literally kept getting degrees just for the sake of getting a degree. And so they both have these very expensive degrees. I think both of them have MBAs. They owe all this money, and they're probably never going to repay this debt, to be honest. So yeah, I think the whole way we think about college is just completely off.
Well, I'll say this. I think that the big problem we have is that, people, when they go to college and you say to somebody that is choosing to go to college, you say, okay, why are you going to college? A lot of times they'll say, because I want to make more money or whatever, right? And you say, okay, well, how is this going to help you make more money? Like, what is it that that you're actually doing and adding value to the economy and to your life that's going to translate into more money? And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of young people don't get that. They just assume, okay, if I go to school for 4 years and I have a piece of paper, then someone will pay me money because I'm inherently more valuable to an economic system than I was before. Like, because I have this paper, I can command more salary. I don't know where the salary is going to come from. I don't know what value you're extracting from my skill set. I just know that if I have this paper, y'all got to pay me. And that's a hugely flawed way to look at college, because nobody's going to pay you just because you got a piece of paper. Like, people are going to pay you. A business owner will pay you because you're helping them make money in their business. You're adding value to something that maybe they're able to better sell a product, or maybe they're better able to get contracts, or able to get certain kinds of work done. And I think that that's the problem when you look at education as an economic black box. Like, I put something in and magical things come out, and I don't know where it came from. I just know that I'm getting money because someone's paying me more money because I have this piece of paper, and I'm more valuable. And so I would almost say that what you're saying, about economic education and what you do with economic elevation is so important, because I think just having an understanding of the economic system helps you know how to get in where you fit in. It helps you know, like, okay, the reason I'm going to make more money is because I can help a person make more money by doing this, right? And people that are in trades really understand that more than other people do. Like, they know, okay, if I have customers that need their toilets fixed and I'm a plumber, they're going to pay me to fix their toilet because they need to use their toilet, right? Or if I'm an electrician, people that build homes, they need an electrician because the house without electricity can't sell, right? Whereas someone that goes to school and gets a degree in English literature, or philosophy, or social work, or even not social work, that's more of a professional skill, but something that's like kind of the softer skills, the humanities. It's like, well, why would I pay you more if you're a major in English literature? It doesn't mean that you're not worth more, but you got to be specific. Like, you have to be specifically clear, because if you're not, then you can make that mistake of putting just an insane amount of money into something that doesn't get anything back. I mean, think about this. You're borrowing $100,000 or more sometimes to go get something. If I go borrow $100,000 for something, I need to know what I'm going to do with that money, right? What do you think?
I agree. There was an article that came out. This was back when the billionaire had paid off the student loans, or agreed to pay off the student loans for the graduating class at Morehouse. And of course I went to go look up the average salaries after graduation, because I'm a nerd and I want to know what's going on at this school where the tuition is like $48,000 a year. So I said, okay, cool. Let me go see how much they're making. So 10 years after graduation, Dr. Boyce, the median salary is $48,000, which means that, half are above that, half are below that. So you mean to tell me you have children graduating from Morehouse owing six figures plus in debt, right? Easily. At 50, we'll just round to $50,000 a year. That's $200,000. So we'll just say half of that they're probably going to get student loans for. So they're going to owe $100,000. And most of those folks, honestly, and this is not me hating or being, an age of white supremacy or anything, most of those people will never see $100,000 a year ever in life. But that's how much they owe with student loans. So it's becoming to the point now where people are taking on student loan debt with the expectation that they're never going to repay that money. While we're talking about careers that actually can make you money, I found this out a couple years ago, and I talked about it recently too. Costco. How about the average employee at Costco makes $45,000 a year? Did you know that? $45,000.
I've heard Costco keeps they retain their people longer.
They do. They take great care of their employees. They pay more than average. I think the average starting amount per hour is like $15 an hour, and then it just goes up from there. They promote from within. They have decent hour. Like, they really do take care of their people. The part-time people can get insurance. You contrast that with a Walmart, and it does the exact opposite. So I say that to say it's not really a question of companies not being able to provide better for their employees. It's a question they don't want to do that shit because they want to keep all the money that they possibly can. So 2 points. Yes, the starting salary from these people who are graduating is just not, they're just not making the money that they need to make. And then 2, Costco. I mean, you can go work there with a high school diploma and make more money than people that graduated from Morehouse.
Wow. Well, Costco, I was really curious to see if Costco was a publicly traded company, and they are, and their valuation is about $100 billion. And in fact, if you had invested in Costco stock, you probably would have made quite a bit of money. Yes. Back in the day. Let me see, if you'd invested $1,000 in Costco stock right after the IPO, let's see here. They said as a result of several stock splits in the company's performance, the initial investment of $1,000 would have grown into $130,000 35 years later. So Costco is not just a company that's doing right by its employees and doing right by the American people. They're doing right by their shareholders, which to me, that's good good free enterprise personified. Like that's what a healthy capitalist system looks like. You know, unhealthy capitalism is where you get stuff like Walmart, where you got people that, you know, are having to go on welfare in order to, in order to pay their bills because Walmart refuses to give them a living wage. I think Costco really shows that you can pay people well and still make a ton of money. I mean, they're worth $100 billion. If you were a shareholder, your investment would have grown 130-fold. That's like buying a house for $100,000, and 30 years later, that house is worth $1.3 million. That's pretty cool, you know.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, in fact, wait, did I do the math wrong? Wait, 100,000? I did the math wrong. Sorry.
13 million.
That's like buying a house for $100,000 and 30 years later, the house being worth 13 million.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm saying that, and I don't even believe the words that are coming out of my mouth because that sounds so freaking insane that I really want to go back and double check that. But if you multiply $100,000 times 13, you'll get 1.3 million. You multiply by 130, you get 13 million. So if you'd invested $1,000 in Costco stock 30 years ago, it would be worth 130 times more than what you put in, which is like buying a house for $100,000 and it being worth $13 million. Oh my God. I love it because that just sort of shows the power of investing and why I think everybody should at least know the basics. And I know that you do a lot of stuff with tax lien investing as a vehicle to ownership and wealth creation and stuff like that. What do you think about that? Like, I almost feel like instead of just going straight to college, I think it would be, you have these little rich kids that will like go backpack in Europe for a year before they go to college or whatever. I almost feel like a lot of our kids should do a year like where they maybe go to the Black Business School or go to Economic Elevation or something where they can learn like things like tax lien investing, like what you teach, instead of just going straight to college. What are the advantages of tax lien investing that you found that you teach kind of in Economic Elevation?
You know what? There was another article. I keep quoting these articles because I be all the financial stuff. I tend to gravitate towards. And so the article came out and it said that Black home ownership was at an all-time low, and that it's not been this low since like 1960 something. And you know what's even more ironic about that is that the rates for home ownership for Black people has been dropping ever since they passed these laws to prevent things like redlining and discrimination and things like that. So it's really, really ironic. It's like, okay, you passed the laws to prevent these things, but still the rates have been going down significantly. And there's a couple of reasons why that is, but one of the main things that I think is the culprit is that a lot of us can't qualify for a traditional loan. We can't walk into a Navy Federal Credit Union or a Bank of America or a Chase and say, hey, I want to qualify for a loan because of either the credit score requirements or the down payment requirements or the closing cost requirements or the fact that you have to show where your money came from. You can't just, show up in there with cash and say, oh, I want to buy a house. That you have to show where your money came from. There's so many different small obstacles that come into play that a lot of us are really just kicked out of the equation altogether. And then in response to that, some people may say, oh, well, I'll just rent. Well, renting is cool. But just so you know, Dr. Boyce and everybody else who's watching, rents are going up so significantly across the country that a lot of people can't even don't even make enough money to afford rent for like a 1 or a 2 bedroom. Places like LA, that's why you have people who actually have jobs who work every single day, but they live in their car because they can't afford to get an apartment anywhere. So with tax lien investing, to me, is ideal because it alleviates a lot of those obstacles that stop a lot of us, especially Black folks, from buying property. You do need money, of course, so it's not entirely free. There's some places where starting bids are like $500, but you need less money than buying a traditional house, but your credit score doesn't matter. Your background doesn't matter. Your source of income doesn't matter. Your proof of fund, like none of that stuff factors into the equation. So you have to pick a city where you want to invest and come up with the money, of course, work with an expert like myself on how to actually acquire those properties. And then you own the properties with no mortgage. And then you just have to pay the property taxes going forward, as opposed to getting a property through a traditional bank where maybe let's say you do qualify, but then you have that 30-year or that 15-year, that 20-year mortgage you have to repay. And then if you stop making a few payments here and there, here comes the foreclosure process. So that's one of the reasons why I go so hard about tax liens.
Interesting. Can you know what I want to do? I think this would be fun. I want to go through the process of buying a property with tax liens. And I'd love to, and I'm publicly going to proposition the idea that you bring a deal to me and take me through that deal, and I'll put up my actual real money, and we buy this, and we kind of tell people like what's going on and how it works. Is that something that you could help me with? Is that something that I know I'm just totally springing this on you because I'm just a jerk for like bringing it up out of nowhere. I don't mean to be, but I really want, I think that when it comes to education, I think that we need to learn what's real. Like, where do people really make money? Like, how do things really work in economic engines? Not to the point where we disparage going to college, but to the point where you say, look, let's stop being stupid. Let's not just do things because other people tell us that this is what you're supposed to do. I would imagine a lot of people can't qualify for a mortgage because they're sitting on all these student loans. Maybe the bankers are saying, look, we can't give you a mortgage because you already got one. It's just you have a mortgage on an invisible house, right? Literally, it's like I can't marry a person who's already married. You're already married to one debt. We can't give you another 100,000, 200,000 on top of the 100,000 that you've proven that you cannot pay. Like there's that stat that says that Black women actually owe more. What was it? They did 10 years later, they said that white men have paid down their debt by so much. Black women actually owe more 10 years later than they did when they finished school, which is contrasted by the fact that God bless, Black women. They're the most educated group of people in America. They pursue education relentlessly, and that's what makes them special. But when you transpose that to what's happening with the debt, it becomes ridiculous. So I go back to my original question.
Yes.
Can we make a deal? Can I take some money and you help me find a deal? I invest in a tax lien and we talk through the process, and maybe every week you come in and we update people on what we're doing. What do you say?
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually going to the sale in Tarrant County, Texas tomorrow. I have a property under contract in Memphis, Tennessee, which will be closing in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I just need to know the city and state where you want to buy, and we could do that pretty much whenever. I tell people all the time, I'm always ready.
All right. Well, it's about to go down. We're about to do a reality show, and I'm gonna take my. It's gonna be a bootleg reality show, y'all, because we ain't got no blockbuster budgets. But I think that the best way for me to show you guys what I think you should do is for me to do it. It would make no sense for me to say, "Oh, go do this," and I'm not doing it myself. I'm gonna buy a property, and you're gonna be my guide, and we're gonna talk our way through it. And I'm going to report and let everybody know what's going on. And then maybe the second time around, maybe we can all come to, a few of us can come together in a small investment group and go buy some things, stuff like that. Nothing that'll violate SEC law, because I ain't trying to have no issue with the feds. Because once you have groups that are so big and you start marketing your investments, it becomes complex. So I don't want to even talk about any of that. But I do really feel like there's so much that we can do. And I think that there's so many other ways to make money. They're so much easier than going $100 and something thousand in debt to get a college degree. I mean, if you're gonna go deep in debt, to start a business. I think that's just as safe. And except the difference is that if you're an entrepreneur, you have that chance of really making just an insane amount of money if you do it right. So if I had a kid, I would probably say to my child, look, you can go to college 4 years and go to frat parties and stuff. Or how about we put you in the most intense entrepreneurship program we can find, where for 1 year you're going to be around deal makers, wealth builders, entrepreneurial thinkers, and they're going to drill you harder than you've ever been drilled at football practice, basketball practice, or any other sports camp. You tell me what you think, which child is more likely to become a millionaire. I think the child that's been drilled at an early age on entrepreneurship and wealth building has a far greater likelihood of being a millionaire than somebody who went to college 4 years and drank themselves under the bed every weekend or whatever. Like I was on a college campus 25 years, and I saw how much time students waste. They waste so much time. They're like children. They're literally grown-up ass children doing shit that is never going to amount to anything, and it's like a 4-year vacation and a waste of time. I don't think Black people in our struggle have time to waste time. Yes. We got to get off the grid and have our own educational process. It's got to be as serious as we are on the basketball court, on the football field. That if we do that, then we're going to win. So I'm going to do that deal with you, and I did a lot of talking, and I'm sorry for talking so much. You got me excited. So I'll let you get the last word, Danielle, please.
So yeah, I'm down for doing the deal. I was just going to say, you did a video. I think you first talked about this video a few years back. And one of the things that you said was that, if we put as much time into entrepreneurship as we did into football and basketball practice and things like that, that we would have we could reverse the the way the economic landscape in, like, I think you said one generation, or like, 25 or 50 years or something like that. And I saw that, and I used to start telling people about that, especially people who were like really gung-ho on football, like, oh, I got my son to play football, I want everybody to play football. And they would get so offended and so mad about it. But I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that make a whole lot of sense. Because like I think it's Eric Thomas who said, or a few other people as well, one great idea can change your life forever. All you need is one. And most of us have that idea, but we're just too scared to act on it. We're too scared to talk about it publicly. We're too scared to take any action. And a lot of us talk ourselves out of doing things before we even take any real action in the real world. Like, we'll think of the idea and then we'll say, oh, that ain't gonna work. Or we talk to our boyfriend or girlfriend or our mother or father or cousin, and it's, oh, that ain't gonna work. Tax lien investment, that's not a good idea. I heard X, Y, and Z, because everybody always heard some shit, right? Everybody always knows something about real estate. Like, oh, I got my auntie in real estate. But the fact of the matter is, it is legitimate and it is viable. And if we focused on that as a means of acquiring property and investment properties as well, and we could just, gentrification wouldn't even be the issue that it is for so many of us in the cities around the country if we focused on that.
Yeah. I agree. And I think it's, if you do a thought experiment, like, what if a large percentage of that 1.2 trillion that we have in income every year was allocated toward real estate acquisition? Like, if we were just obsessed with going through the hood, finding every house, that we could find that was, that could be bought at a bargain basement price. Like, let's just say that we became addicted to property ownership, as much as we're addicted to watching reality TV, as much as we're addicted to sports, a lot of things would change instantly. Like they'd be looking at us saying, gosh, Black people are buying up all the property, So I really think that, and we've proven that our economic engine is strong. When Disney puts out a movie, when they put out the Black Panther movie or Lion King, even, they're in their mind, they've already calculated, okay, Black people are the ones that are going to make this thing go. They're the ones that are going to put $500 million in our pocket. That's really going to get us, to make this a successful movie. If Black people boycotted the movie and did not show up, then the film would be a failure, right? So we have that ability to elevate any institution. We can build whatever we want. It's just a matter of applying resources. So I want to say thank you for your great work. And I want to let everybody know where Danielle lives in case you want to go hang out with Danielle Pierce. She's a brilliant lady and a really cool person. Go to economicelevation.com. That's economicelevation.com. And let's see, Emily's asking, do you have that intense program for 14-year-olds? Yeah, we do. We actually have a wealth building program for children. We believe children should attend business school at the age of 7 so they can get ahead of all the other kids that will be going to business school at the age of 18. And so if you want your child to get a master's in Black wealth building at an early age, send them to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's our digital program. We also have workbooks and flashcards that you can use where you right there in your house can give your child a college level business and financial education. If you want to check out our workbooks and flashcards, we have a ready-made bundle for every grade level at financialworkbooks.com. That's financialworkbooks.com. So again, we don't just talk about it, we want to be about it, and we also build the tools that surround it so that we can show you how you can implement everything that we talk about. We don't just talk, we actually follow through. So Danielle, economicelevation.com. I want to say thank you very much. Everybody, please hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button before you go. I'll be in Los Angeles this week, drboycelosangeles.com if you want to join us there. And Danielle, do you have anything else to say before we go?
No, we covered it all. That's it. That you gave the website, and yeah, I'm ready when you are. That's what I tell people. Ready when you are.
Well, we'll just stay on the line, and we're going to finish up our conversation privately as far as how we're going to execute this.
Okay.
And so you guys stay tuned. We about to do this. This is an idea I came up with about 5 minutes ago, or something like that. But now that I've said it publicly, now we gotta follow.
Right.
Through. So maybe that's why I said it publicly, to force myself to follow through, so that even I can make sure I always practice what I preach. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and do what's right for your family, do what's right for your kids, and be the leaders that your children need you to be. They need you to be great so they can be great in the next generation. So see you guys soon. Talk to you later. Be good.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.